Just got done watching the debate. Now it's time to discuss. Hey everyone, this is Tom with Tom's Talk Show, and I just got done, watching the debate, watched a little bit of commentary, different things. Did a little gathering of some numbers and facts and things like that that are known. And I did see that this was put out by Donald Trump. I think it's on Truth Social there. That was the best debate ever, especially since it was 3-on-1. People are saying big win. And yes, I would definitely agree with that. It's 3-on-1. I mean, it was very evident on the subject of abortion. They really wanted to grill him on that, because they think it's a winning subject for especially your suburban women, I guess, or whatever, your younger women. They think that that's very important thing. As women get older and have their own families, tends to tends to go away, and they kind of move to the other side because they've already seen the miracle of birth and all of that. So they really dig in on that. So they asked him, of course, if a national abortion ban, would you sign a national abortion ban? And then he said, no, I'm not going to do that. What they want to do is abortion all the time. And then they had to re-ask, if a bill came to your desk, would you sign it? And he's like, I already asked you. You already answered that. And he says, I agree in the exceptions. It's fine. There's every incident, everything, basically is tragic. If you're at that point in any of these like criminal activities, type things. So, and they kept asking, they grill him over and over and over. What do you? So then they ask Kamala, what's your deal? I'm just want Roe v. Wade. Then Trump says, why don't you ask her what month she's good with? She good with 7th month, 8th month, 9th month, month after they're born, 2 months after they're born? What is it? They wouldn't ask her the question. Wouldn't go back and say, what is your month? What's your date? What's your week number? Everybody's got their week, their number, that they're okay with. Most of the country is, like the first trimester number. But we know that Tim Walz, her vice president pick, has a very different view. So this is the Charlotte Lozier Institute is reporting data on abortions from, I think it's all the states. So this is Minnesota in 2021. Here we go. 5 babies were reported to be born alive during abortions in Minnesota in 2021. None of the babies survived after being born alive. So according to the report, 1 baby passed away due to fetal anomalies. 2 babies were judged to be pre-viable, so probably like 20 weeks. But in here, 2 cases were given comfort care measures were provided as planned. So babies born and then killed. That's what that means. And that's who Kamala Harris has as her running mate. Okay with killing babies after they're born. Those 2 babies probably very well could have just been given health care and support care until they were able to live on their own and put up for adoption and given to families who they kept talking about, well, families need, people want families and blah, blah, blah. People want families, Kamala. Why are you so dug into killing babies over and over again? Why do you want to make sure everybody can kill their baby? And in case of Walz, killing them after they're born. Right? That's their stance. That's their hard line. You want to know their number? Their number is birth plus 1. That's their number. So make no mistake about that. Trump is the least radical and crazy on this subject. He has everything at the states. People can now decide, right? There are people who are living in states where they saw rampant abortion around them, right? And they wanted to be able to fight and to do something and to help and to stop what was going on because of their own personal convictions. And they had no way to do that. Now, every state can have people who can who are all the more conservative states can come and say, listen, we want to have something more reasonable. Let's cut this back. I mean, the Democrats used to say, uh, uh, what rare, legal, rare, and safe, or something like that, or safe, rare, and legal. I think that's was the what they did, you know. But now it's every day, all the time, every minute, every just go out and have rampant sex so you can have abortions, right? That seems to be their their message to people, and I don't know who that is really playing to, right? I mean, very far lefty women. I mean, you're not catching the you know the suburban and urban family wife. I mean, at all, who has kids already, right? That's not doing them. So you're playing to all the people, all the women, all the college kids in the city. I don't know. It's so extreme. I didn't see how anybody could even be before that. So I was watching the whole thing. I mean, she had her little smiles and laughs and all the whole time. She was very playing off, that she's, got to have this big. It seems like she's very practiced this whole smile. I don't know if they had her like in front of a mirror for hours and hours a day to put that in, to see that. I'm sure there's there's a little kind of thing. Constantly this little smile and everything that she was trying to do, and smirk and whatever, I mean, Trump was fairly, just he obviously had some like straightforward, just just look forward, pay attention to what's going on, keep your talking points in your head, don't let her bother you. She tried to rein him, catch him on a few things. They did ask about the insanity of January 6th. They asked about things that have already been debunked and whatever. I mean, it just he did bring up things like oh, you're talking to me about January 6th, where I said go peaceably and patriotically, but yet she can go post on Twitter the tweet that is still up, say go fund getting the people who destroyed Tim Walz's state to bail those people out of jail, right? And she says she hasn't changed her positions at all, so she still is for violence and destruction of America, right? That's what that says, no matter what's coming out of her mouth, right? You can say Donald Trump, fibs, and he really gets in a rut. I mean, I really have to say he gets in a rut, and he can't dig out of it. He's got his like 5 key points that he wants to do, and he really digs into that rut and digs in hard, and that's what makes him kind of not on the debate stage, not approachable. In the real world, where he's seeing at a one of his events, he sees somebody that's hurting, he stops and goes down and asks if they're okay, gets people over there to help, things like that. He's very outside of this stage thing. He's very personable and caring, but the press is not going to translate that anywhere. Instead, Kamala on the other side is going to go to a hyper liberal spice shop or whatever it was, and hug people who are ultra left liberals, probably all set up ahead of time beforehand. So kind of very fake. That was very fake. So let's get to some of the facts that I've looked up and been through. So the whole climate change thing, I mean, says only 37% of surveys people care about climate change right now. If I'm going to have something to really grill on and know what I want to have my government do, one, close the border, get the people that are in here illegally out, start getting us energy independent again, knock off the stupid forced electric vehicle thing. If you want to buy an electric vehicle, fine. If you get a good one and it lasts a long time, fine. If yours doesn't catch on fire and burn your house to the ground, great. Right? That's up to you. But I know everybody's gonna say, oh, well, they don't catch on fire as bad as many as cars do. I'm like, okay, percentage wise a little less, but The difference in those is a car burns at like 1500 degrees. Gasoline burns at 1500 degrees. Easy to put out with regular fire truck and just show up and put it out. Electric car burns at 6,000 degrees, which is enough to separate water into hydrogen and oxygen. So that's actually more flammable. So often they just have to push them. In New York, they just push them off the road and just let them burn. So there you go for being environmentally friendly. One place I saw, they had to dig a hole, push the car into the hole, and then bury it with dirt. So yeah, such an environmentally amazing thing. So, but climate change, I don't really care about climate change. I care about my food bill, my gas bill, the border being closed, people not being killed by illegals, things like that, right? Those kinds of things in the government. Get the government out. I want the government out of my life, right? Every time I turn around, there's another thing. Oh, Biden's saying he's going to get rid of, junk fees on credit cards, junk fees on this thing, transparency on concert tickets. Like I don't know when I click buy on the concert ticket how much it's going to cost. Get out of my life. Get out of my life. That's like the prelude to socialism, right? Getting in everybody's lives, knowing what your bank account's doing. Don't want it. Okay, so they said that they created 800,000 jobs. No, those were only 173,000. The rest were returned from COVID. And Trump actually in his term, his 3 years, basically, until they faked the whole COVID thing, he created 400,000 jobs. So if he would have been another normal fourth year, it probably would have been maybe 600,000 jobs just on his own. So that's something that no one's going to tell you. And every month since Biden has been in office, the number of jobs created has been corrected down, sometimes as much as 25%. Several times, I think under Trump, they actually had to correct it up. So that's good. And the Harris saying, "Oh, I'm the auto workers union endorsed me." Well, how did the auto workers union do in their last negotiations? They got negotiations done. They got all kinds of things that they wanted. Then boom, turn around. These car companies they were dealing with were like Stellantis and stuff that are European car companies. What'd they do? They said, "Oh, thanks. Yeah, the negotiation was great. Yeah, fine. Close the plant." Everybody loses their jobs. So, and this happened several times. I think the train, workers also had problem with that same kind of thing. This hyper unionization and over asking for, benefits and all this stuff and super high wages. Well, people want the higher wages because the economy is crap and they can't feed their families. Let's fix the economy, which starts with getting energy costs down. Right? It's very, very simple. I don't think Trump went into that enough this evening. Getting, driving energy. He did a little bit of getting, the economy back and getting prices down. But I think J.D. Vance afterwards, they had an interview and he kind of hit that really hard with, you need to get costs down for American families. And that starts with, not the only thing you can do, but it does start with lowering energy cost. So energy costs you lower your energy costs. That means starting at the store, right? That means their energy costs to keep the lights on and keep like here in Florida, keeping everything air conditioned inside that building, that goes down. That makes it easier for the store to lower prices. And then the truck that brings those products to the store, they're diesel powered. You get diesel price down, then that delivery goes down. Then there's the manufacturing plant that has lights and generators and heating and cooling and all the mechanism there. You bring their energy costs down, and that lowers the cost of creating the product. Then on the other side, you have your cost. Your cost goes down, like you cost less to put gas in your car. It's going to power costs for your home is going to go down. Then you can go and be able to afford the products because all of that has gone down. That's not everything, but that's a huge step into bringing affordability back to people in the country. It's so simple and so easy, and too much of what Biden has done has driven it the other way, forcing car companies to pay a penalty if they don't make enough electric cars. Right? Why? Giving people, a tax credit for buying an electric car, which just increases the electric car price. You give a $10,000 tax credit, the price of the electric car goes up $10,000. Right? It's simple, and that's just crazy negotiation. Let people buy a car for what what it sells at. Don't stop giving money away. Right? Okay. They brought up that Trump's going to get rid of the Affordable Care Act. Yes, it's horrible. My insurance has gone up every year. My health care quality has gone down every year. It's very hard to find anybody, that to get care, to find a doctor that's good. All this stuff's all gone horrible. Well, he says we're going to keep it till we can find something better. You have to. You can't just erase healthcare. That's asinine. So, and then they brought up, of course, under that was the $35 for insulin. Trump started that. It was he capped $35 for Part D Medicare people, and Biden just continued it. The other part is Biden says they lowered some costs for prescription drugs. No, they worked out a backroom deal with the pharmaceutical companies that when a number of medications were going to shift to generic availability, that would be lowering the cost. So then they come and say, oh, we've lowered this cost, and it's not going to start till 2025 because that's when all of those drugs go generic. So a kind of a bold-faced lie there. They brought up this thing where that Trump wouldn't allow black tenants into buildings in New York, and that's a complete lie. He was not renting to people under social service welfare. That didn't care what color they were. If they're on social service welfare, that makes a very bad living space. And I've experienced that completely myself. Where we used to live in Northern California, half of the houses on one side of the school that my kid was going to, which was a good school, it was a very good school, very highly rated, houses on the other side went Section 8, which is California government subsidized. The school had to stop doing programs because they started having to buy alarm clocks for the kids because the parents weren't getting them up. Then when it got cold, the school had to buy coats because the kids were not getting coats purchased for them by their parents. School rating went from 70th percentile in the country down to 40. All because of government supported housing. So I fully understand somebody not wanting to have that near them or in their buildings. These buildings, houses and things, they were like triplex and duplexes over on one side. They were all ended up being trash. Nobody cared. A lot of drug users. There was, a couple shootings and stuff. The school was right behind our house. We had helicopters landing there for life flight to take people who had gotten shot away about once every other month. So, we had to move away from there, of course, because of that horrible Democrat-led policy in California. Okay, so the whole I love Israel thing from Kamala. Well, if you love Israel so much, why didn't you meet Netanyahu at the airport? Why didn't you meet Netanyahu at the address? Why did Trump meet with Netanyahu before you even talked to him? You care about Israel so much. So that's completely unbelievable. They kept going back and forth, of course, about who's going to be that. It's so crazy. So no wars under Trump. Starting to bring back as many soldiers as we can from different parts of the world to get out of all these other things. Force the UN to start everybody having to pay their fair share and correct share as laid out by the UN guidelines, like 6% of GDP or something like that, into the UN to support the UN. Or was it UN? Yeah. And Kamal's like, he's not going to be tough on the international. He has no good international policies. I'm like, really? Iran was like $1 trillion in debt when Trump was in office. $1 trillion. They had no way to afford weapons or manufacturing or anything to attack any other country. They were trying to somewhat starve and feed their people at the same time. As Biden gets in, he releases money that gives them $6 billion. So what do? oh, this is supposed to go for humanitarian aid. You can't use it for anything else. Well, then where do they get all the weapons? Obviously, because the $6 billion that you gave them to buy rockets for you to shoot over to Israel. It's never been clear that. And when they were going into the what is the Rafah area, whatever, Biden said, if you're going to go in there, we're not going to give you any more weapons to go there. And that's where those was it people were just found. Those hostages were just found dead because they weren't able to go, possibly because they weren't able to go in there sooner, right? And maybe if they would have had those weapons and been able to go in sooner, maybe those people would still be alive. Just more blood on Biden's head. And Harris as well, because she's the last one in the room, remember? So, I mean, say what you will about the debate. I don't think it changed anyone's mind. I don't think anything has changed. I think Kamala did her week of rehearsals and had everything, rehearsed down. I mean, and in a sense, right? Trump does his rehearsals every time he has an event. It's it's a rehearsal. He has his talking points and the things that he, likes to hit on and talk about, and that's what he did. He kept doing that over and over, and kind of steering things back to what he wanted to talk about, which what both of them did. I did see a thing that Kamala spent many more minutes attacking Trump than Trump did attacking Kamala, except in the last part, which was pretty good, which was the closing things. It was Trump said what I think every American is probably saying. We all know that Biden is in huge cognitive decline, so you're basically acting president now. Why don't you do these things that you're saying? Wait, that's right. You just copied all of this stuff from Biden's website over to your website, didn't change any of the code so people could look at it and say, hey, wait, this says Biden everywhere inside in the comments, right? So you just copied that. So it's really actually just more Biden and his policies and everything else. The really bad things are her, the big tax giveaways, $25,000. I mean, if you're an illegal in California, I mean, imagine what you can get if that bill is signed. You can get $150,000 from California and another $25,000 from Kamala Harris. Just for being illegal and poor. I mean, I couldn't do that. I mean, I'm hard work. See, this is the fallacy of it all. You're giving rewards to people who are not hardworking. Now, of course, there's going to be groups of people and people out there that really have hit hard times. They had a good job, they lost it, that company closed, whatever. They're struggling, for that. And those people from time to time are going to need a little bit of help to get back on their feet, right? I would put some limits into how long, and some oversight into what people are doing in order to get the money, to be able to stand on their feet, get a new job, and get back working. But blind handouts because you're poor and illegal? No. If you're not going to make an effort, I mean, that's the part of the American dream and the American culture is if you work hard, you can create a great life for yourself. And moreover, you can create a great life for your children. That's what it's all been about, right? That's what the American dream, the American message is. You come here, you may struggle, but your kids are going to have a great future, right? But I don't see that now, the way the government is going now. So it needs a change. Is it a Kamala change? I don't see that helping at all. I think that's more the same policies. Is it the Trump change? Seems to be better policy, seems to be better things, seems to care much more about the American people and the individual. So I love the comment. People are leaving it's so backwards because Kamala had the, her little convention things where she was speaking and she would have whatever free concert beforehand. So a bunch of people would be there and then the concert would be over and she'd get up on stage and all the people would leave. Because, well, I got my free concert, so I don't need to hear what you're saying. I just came for the free concert. So she's trying to say that is what was happening at Trump events. At the Trump events where Trump was almost killed, no one left. They all stayed. They all cheered, right? That's the people that are there for Trump. Just such a contrast, such a different contrast. It's such a continual, uh, whatever is bad that the Democrats are doing, they're going to blame the Republicans for doing the same, doing that. They're so afraid he's going to get in and throw everybody in jail and everything else. Wait a minute. You're the one making it. I mean, the New York charge with all of his felonies is made up, past the statute of limitations, was a bookkeeping error. So that means no. No one else in the country who had done something like that would ever even be looked at twice. But because he's Trump and they think he's a threat to the global cabal, then they got to take him out. They got to take him down. I think there will be, if polls continue the way they are, moving forward and moving towards Trump, there will be another assassination. I am absolutely going to guarantee that it's going to still try to happen. The thing, they are scared of the things right now that he's saying, that going over and stopping the Russia-Ukraine war immediately. I mean, they kept pressing him. He said, I'm going to go over there. I'm going to stop it. We're just going to, there's millions of people dying and it needs to stop. This is a man who really doesn't care, almost doesn't care what side. At this point, it doesn't really matter whose side is on what. The war's gone back and forth over the country lines, back and forth. So it really doesn't matter anymore. You have to have that perspective. It doesn't matter anymore. There are people that are just being rampantly killed over this. It can stop today. They said, well, how are you going to do it? Like, I'm going to go talk to him. Well, how? What is that exactly? I don't need him to lay out his whole plan on national TV. He laid out his whole plan. I mean, if it's such an easy and open and easy to find plan, then why hasn't Biden done it? Why hasn't Kamala done it? They don't want it. They're warmongers. Half of the Republicans, most of the Democrats are warmongers. They want to keep all these wars going, and they're going to start another one in China and Taiwan. I'm sure there's going to be another one somewhere else. And the threat, like Trump said, of nuclear war is getting more real by the day. And Kamala, that little clock, how many minutes to midnight are we? Kamala gets elected, that's going to tick right to 1 second before midnight, and everyone knows it. I mean, that's the biggest thing. I would have pushed on that. I said I would have even brought up the clock. That clock, it ticks there. Kamala gets elected, it's going to tick right to midnight, and it's going to go. And he pretty much kind of said that. But all right. So what do you think? Who won? What do you think? Am I correct with all my numbers? I was trying to pull them up quickly and get to different things. Some of these we've seen over and over again over the last few months, especially with the job numbers and things like that. People returning from COVID and stuff like that. So, am I right? Am I wrong? Let me know. Like, share, subscribe, all the fun YouTube buttons and Rumble buttons. I do post this stuff to YouTube and Rumble. So, thanks for watching. Take care.